Namaste. Uh, Devam Foundation, Bulgaria. It's Indo-Bulgarian Society for Arts and Culture. On behalf of our foundation, this gives me immense pleasure uh, to introduce you a very young and dynamic Ayurvedic consultant and Panchkarma therapies specialist and naturopath, Dr. Vinayak Abbot.
Thank you
Uh,
so much.
I'll say a few words in Bulgarian. Днес представяме един много динамичен и млад аюрведа специалист. Той ще говори за хранене по случай Международен ден на Аюрведа. So now the stage is yours, Dr.
Sure,
Vinayak. Thank you so much for joining us.
sure. Namaskar to everyone. Myself, Dr. Vinayak Abbot. I'm an Ayurvedic practitioner in Delhi, India. Today, we are celebrating International Ayurveda Day with Devam Foundation, Bulgaria. Thank you for having me on board today. I would really like to speak on such important topics and empower people with Ayurveda. Today's topic that has been allotted or on which we would be discussing is 8 rules of food or Asht Ahar Vidhi Visheshayatana. What exactly Ayurveda has to say about the food eating habits or how one must consume its food and what exactly the impact of the food comes to your body. These are all the factors explained in Ayurveda under this heading. So let's go ahead with this topic. In Ayurveda, the topic is explained in Sanskrit in a shlok in Charak Samhita, which says as Tatra khalu imani ashto ahar vidhi vishesh ayatanani bhavanti tadyata prakriti karan sanyog rashi desh kal upyog sanstha ashtamani bhavanti, which means that there are total 8 factors which needs to be considered before having food. What are those factors? Let's straight go to the topic. First factor, that is generalization of food or the potency of food, which is called prakriti. In Ayurveda, we are aware of 3 factors, or there's a general saying that in Ayurveda we divide the body into 3 broad categorization or classification as Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. According to that, their constitution or the prakriti of the body is defined. Same, this concept is applied to the food as well. In food, the food's prakriti or the constitution is to be defined before eating the food. The prakriti or the nature of the food is important. For example, the food can be guru or heavy to digest. For example, meat or pork or black gram, or it can be light to digest. For example, green gram, or you can say rice flakes. Now, these are the some food which totally depend upon one's digestive capacity, and one has to decide what exactly will suit one's own body. We really need to consider these factors before eating the food. If your digestion is good enough, then you can surely go for the Guru Guna food or the heavy food which you can have. But if it is not in good position or in place, so you obviously have to opt for the food which are light in digestion, such as soups or green gram or food like that, or which should not be that fried or that oily or heavy in digestion. This is the first basic property that we must consider before eating our food. Next, what exactly the next point comes is Prakriti Karan. Karan means sanskar. Sanskar means the processing of food. Now, there are many things available around us which just can be eaten directly. You can eat an apple directly. You can also eat a tomato directly as a salad. But there are few foods which requires processing. Now, processing part is called sanskar. What exactly Charaka means here is, Acharya Charaka says The food should be cooked in a proper manner to make it guru, to make it lagu from guru. In a way, it meant to make it easy for our digestive system to assimilate the properties of the food and to digest it properly. Sanskara is a very important step which actually changes the property of the food and makes our body very, in a perform in a very good manner to digest that food. Raw food eating is also advised, but to a certain limit. There should be a proper sanskar. There should be either boiling of food, frying of food, or a proper cooking of food to make it healthy for our body. After sanskar, there is one other important point, third point, which is mentioned in this verse, that is sanyog. Sanyog means combination of food. What exactly is the combination of food? There are many types of food available around us. People are actually in experimenting, mixing a lot of food together. They are mixing bread with all those things and making new innovations, and such new innovations are coming around the table. Around the YouTube is full with such videos. But we really need to consider this fact that these combinations can be unhealthy for our body as well. Ayurveda explains these property of the food under the Sanyog category. Sanyog, for example, I'll take milk as an example. Milk in Ayurveda is considered as an wholesome food. It is strictly said that milk should not be taken with many things. For example, milk with a non-veg product is totally to be avoided or is not to be taken with any of stuff like that. Milk with fish is something very famous. Everyone is aware of that. If a milk is taken with fish, it leads to further skin infections or vitiligo-like situations. But the fact is, yes, it does vitiates your blood and does increases your chances of getting infections, skin diseases, and other metabolic errors. Milk with any sort of salt or spice is totally contraindicated because milk with salt or spice makes it further heavy for the digestive system to perform, and milk is not actually assimilated well. Further, milk should also not to be taken with any sort of bakery or fermented product. This is a very common thing around the world that milk is taken with biscuits or breads and stuff like that. But it is totally contraindicated in Ayurveda. Ayurveda doesn't support this fact of taking milk with any other any other product, any other bakery product or fermented product. This basically increase the guru guna or basically increase the kapha guna of your body, making you prone to diseases like weaker digestive system or respiratory issues can also come up with increase of kapha in your body. We must consider to be taking milk as a single only product. With milk, if you really want to add on something, you can add on dates. As simple as that. Nothing apart from that. I just explained that milk should not be also be taken with dairy or fermented products or bakery products as well. There are furthermore many restrictions with milk. Milk is also a product which should not be mixed with any other stuff. Like it should not. There are many people around the world who are having this habit of, uh, you know, uh, marinating curd thing with the non-veg product and all those things, which is actually tasting good, but it's not healthy for your body. This should be avoided on a longer run because it can lead to various diseases in your body. Next, next point comes is rashi. Rashi means the quantity of food that is to be consumed. The quantity of the food is totally dependent upon one's own thirst or hunger. Basically, one must consider their own hunger strike or the hunger capacity of the body and then consume accordingly. It's not like if a particular food is very tasty to your tongue, then you should go on consuming on a larger quantity. That will actually deteriorate your health and will burden down your digestive system, making it more prone to get indigested and making it in a ama avastha. Ama means the undigested food material which kept on lying in your intestine and further really you know makes makes you prone to many diseases. So arm is something which further makes your body toxicated. Amavastha is something which spreads to your body and makes you feel very lethargic, lazy, and having those gastric flatulence issues, stiff abdomen, and joint pains. Amavad further, if not treated well, can lead to rheumatoid arthritis like condition. So yeah, it all originates from your indigestion. That's the point where Rashi comes into the play. Rashi means the quantity of the food that you consume. After considering Rashi or the quantity of food, one must also consider the Desha. Desha means where exactly the food is grown and where exactly the person is sitting or in which country or state the person is consuming that food. A food grown in southern India, if I take example of India, a food grown in southern India, if consumed in northern part of India, if consumed by a person living in Himalayas, would not be really beneficial for him because the desh is difference is there. Food grown in one part, if consumed in other part of the world, is not suitable for the body. Yes, for a shorter period, you might not feel the difference, you might not get the symptoms, but yeah, for a longer duration consumption, it does leave you with some serious side effects, which should be avoided. So, this is one thing that one must consider. Food, if you are living in that particular area, just get to know about the cultivation happening around there and opt for that particular food material. If you go on experimenting with such stuff or exported food products, that will lead to to go on a very deteriorated healthy health. Okay, so we must avoid that point. Now, there are few things considered in to be considered in this exported food products as well. Most of this food product comes in a very canned and preservative position. Again, adding preservatives, and canning the food products actually deteriorates the food's quality, which further leaves you with no nourishment value and nothing coming out of that except of the fat. So yeah, you will also need to avoid such stuff, which actually deteriorates your health. Next, after that, we'll also consider another point which is called Kala. Kala means the time of the food consumption. There are two types of Kal explained in Ayurveda. One is the day and night cycle, and one is the seasonal cycle. The day and night cycle nowadays is the most disturbed cycle. Most of the people are nowadays having an habit of late night chunking or munching in between between two meals and having food on the wrong timely positions, which is not good for the body. The body or the day cycle is actually divided according to the vata, pitta, and kapha. The daytime or the basically the noon time is considered the pitta kala. Pitta kal is the best kal where the sun is on the peak, and that denotes the best digestive capacity of your body. With the sun setting down or by the evening, late evening, your digestive capacity also deteriorates or it settles down, which indicates that one must consume heavy food meals or heavy meals at the daytime or when the sun is up. After setting of the sun, one must avoid having heavy food because you can eat that heavy food, but that food won't be digested as effectively as it digests at the noontime. And due to this indigestion or due to that lying food in your intestine, again that point comes into play. The indigested food may further lead to toxicity by developing ama or the toxic food substance that is kept lying in your intestine, which further gives you a complaint of foul spelling from the mouth, getting white coated tongue, pain all over the body, feeling of letharginess and laziness, unable to wake up in the morning, or getting constipated like issues, and the skin also becomes dry. These are the some common effects which are seen into the people who really don't respect the timing of the food. The timing should be fixed. You should be having a particular hour of the day when you are having your meals to be fixed. Okay. If you're having lunch at 1 p.m., then you should be having lunch at 1 p.m. over the week long. Avoid the most important point and this subject is to avoid eating heavy food at night. Post 7 p.m. or 8 p.m., having heavy meals is totally contraindicated. It really needs to, your body really, absorbs the fat from that food, not the nourishment value. So this is something that one must avoid on a longer run. After the Kala, we come to a point called Upyog Sanstha. Upyog Sanstha means the basic common rule of food that one must consider before having food. The basic manners. Ayurveda is a very beautiful science where we get to know about the diseases, their treatment, and everything apart from diseases. Ayurveda also teaches you how to live. That's the only science which teaches you how to live. Now, this science in this point explains how to eat. Now, how to eat, it tells you precisely that one must be, seated properly before eating. One must wash your hands and your face before eating. One must not be involved in any other emotional activity at the time of eating. One must not be indulged in any other activity during eating. For example, one and nowadays, if I take that subject into reference, then I find most of the people having food while watching their YouTubes or some TV channel or some movies playing in the background, which is totally contraindicated because what exactly you eat is not exactly the food, but that emotion as well, along with that food material. So, to work the food in an efficient way, you must consider that this is an emotional act. You should not be surrounded by any other emotions while having food. You should be just focused on your food, just be eating what exactly is served to your plate, and be respectful towards it. If you are eating food while watching TV or any other movie, then you are actually not respecting your food. You are also ingesting that emotion which is playing around you. If, for instance, you're watching an action film or something like that, it's proven that such emotions, action, anger, or any other stuff like this increases your pitta. If pitta is increased during eating your food, the body tends to produce more acid, which further can lead to problems like GERD, gastric esophageal reflux disorder, or in common layman terms, if I'll say, that is the simple acidity that you feel. Some patients feel heaviness in their chest after eating food, or some patients feel very uneasiness. They tend to walk around 3 to 4 times around their home after eating food because they feel this heaviness around their chest or burning sensation in their throat. That is the acid reflux that comes through. This comes only when you eat food with the pitta around you to avoid that pitta dosh increased around your surrounding. You must also eat food under very low level of light. Eating food is a very emotional act, I'm telling you again and again. So one must consider a very soft and calm, composed environment while eating food. One must not be in anger or grief while eating food because you are actually consuming those emotions as well. One must consider such facts. Next, next comes is upyukta. By upyukta, Acharya Charak means the person who is eating the food or the person who is having must be considerable about his health before eating the food. If you are healthy, if you are perfectly fine, then yes, you must go for that food material, considering the food is guru, lagu, mand, or how the food is gonna act to my body. You must consider these facts before cooking the food or before consuming the food. You must know about your body health. For example, if a person is having fever, or if a person is suffering from some high raised temperature, having some mild throat pain, then yes, he must consider having lagu ahar or the food which is having light potency or which is easy on digestion. For example, mugd or yush or the watery part of the rice. These are the things which helps in the person to recover and to get healthy very soon. If a person selects a food product like pork or non-veg or any other product that will worsen his condition or the worsen the fever boards, which further can deteriorate his health. So one must consider his own health status before consuming that food material. This was Upyog Sanstha or Upyukta, the person who eats the food. These were the few basic 8 rules that were explained by Ayurveda. Now, apart from these rules, we must consider what exactly food does to your body. We all know what exactly we are, how we look is all dependent upon what we consume. What you eat is what you become. These rules are to be considered before eating because they improve your immune system. And by immunity, I don't really mean that they help you to prevent from various infections or diseases and all that stuff like that. They don't really increase your antibodies. But yeah, immunity is called the wholesome result of your mental and physical health. Again, in these rules, Acharya Charka has also pointed out on the mental status of your body or of your well-being before consuming the food. Food is very much prone to change your mental status, or it can improve or degrade that as well. So one must consider a proper physical and mental well-being before consuming the food. The type of food available in the market varies, and according to the time, according to the season, according to the country, one must also be aware of own prakriti or the constitution. As I explained earlier, that there are three prakritis, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Prakriti analysis is easily done nowadays online. It's very easily available for everyone. One must go for that Prakriti analysis and one must get to know that what exactly the type of food one must consider eating for its own Prakriti, for the benefits of its own Prakriti. For example, if a Pitta Prakriti person comes in and complains of acidity or heat in the body, then obviously the doctor is supposed to you know ask the patient to avoid the food which are spicy in nature or which is having hot potency. That further increases the pitta. Or if a person with a kapha prakriti person walks in, the doctor obviously avoids to decrease the kapha level in the body by asking the patient to avoid the food which are oily or which are heavy in digestion, which are fatty. These are the foods which really make the person more prone to kapha dominant diseases like respiratory disorders or other throat related infections and other stuff. So these are the food rules which are important in the medical sciences as well. Prakriti analysis can be done by going to your nearest Ayurvedic doctor, or you can reach me out as well. I'm totally available online. You can reach me and ask me about your queries. These were the few basic points or few basic outline that I would like to share about that I just shared about the food and the dietetics explained in the Ayurveda. Monaji, you're there? I
Ji.
would like, yeah, yeah. So yeah, they were just basic brief that I gave about the dietetics. Any queries or anything that you would like to ask?
Just a second. Thank you so much, Raksa, for your this short but very informative lecture. Uh, we will try to translate it in Bulgarian, and
Okay.
I'm sure that our members and friends who believe in Ayurveda practices, uh, they will definitely have many questions to you. So we will send it
Okay.
to you, and I'm sure you will be able to answer all our queries. Uh, Thank you so much for your time and your knowledge, and may Lord Dhanvantri bless
Yeah.
all of us who believe in Ayurveda. Thank you
Thank you
so
so much. Thanks to you and thanks to the Devam Foundation for having me in here today. I'm really, really happy to be on this platform today and sharing all such stuff. I tried to make it brief, but yeah, let the query come in. I would be really interested in solving such queries and such issues of from in a Bulgarian population. Let's see what comes up. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you.